All the students and faculty cannot solve the math problem. Even the professor who won the Nobel Prize in mathematics. It took 3 months to get the answer. And what's even more surprising is that no one among the students and faculty came forward to claim this award. In order to find this low-key, mysterious genius, the professor is putting out a call for battle. This time question. It took their entire math department 2 years to solve it together. The next day, he had just left the classroom. He saw this unassuming janitor scribbling on the blackboard. The professor rushed up to stop him, and he says, "That's not your problem." Matt didn't want to get involved with him. He turned around and left the room. The professor couldn't catch up. Had to go back to check the blackboard. I didn't expect the punch in the face to come too soon. The answer was exactly right. The mysterious math genius was a janitor, but such a genius, he hangs out with his friends in bars every night. Matt's best friend Jack pretended to be a Harvard student to pick up girls. But then the real Harvard bully came and ruined the party. Just a few questions in, Jack was speechless. Then Matt stood up for his brother. He said, "Dude, you're only a freshman, right? You just finished Marks, right? Next month you'll be studying Raymond, Virginia, Asia, and Pennsylvania. And then you're going to learn about corporatization and capitalism. You're talking about employment analysis on page 98, right? Who hasn't read it, showing off what's written in the book? Do you have your own personal ideas? You're paying $15,000 for a course like this? It's only worth $1.50 in the library. If you're not happy about something, let's go outside and solve it." The student bully knows what to do. That's it. Matt gained the goodwill and phone number of the beautiful girl. On the other hand, the professor went from house to house looking for Matt. He vowed to train Matt to become a pillar of talent. At the same time, Matt saw a group of gangsters molesting girls. He was fighting with them. So when the professor found him, Matt was defending himself in court in a very eloquent manner. He didn't need to hire a lawyer. And with his knowledge base, the other side of the lawyer said on the spot to admit defeat. But a mistake is a mistake, a bad record. He could be locked up for years. For assaulting a police officer, bail can be as high as $500. Now he doesn't even have $50. The professor doesn't want the genius to go astray. But Matt had 2 prerequisites for bail. First, to study mathematics with him, and 2, see a psychiatrist every day. Matt was interested in math, and the
shrink was a little he thought it would be better than being in jail. So from then on, the two of them worked together every day on research. No matter what the math problem was, to Matt, it was a piece of cake. Genius has its own untamed. This day, Matt was going to see a psychiatrist. He studied psychology a day early for this purpose. A normal person who wants to receive psychological counseling. So he took on a professional demeanor. Before the doctor speaks, he said what the doctor wanted to say. In a few words, he hit the doctor where it hurts. The doctor slammed the door and left. He said he was going to see a psychiatrist. Then the professor asked other psychiatrists. As a result, 5 doctors in a row were all fooled by Matt. No choice. The professor could only play a big trick. This is his old classmate Kevin. Kevin is a good teacher. After a lot of requests from the professor, he decided to come and meet this Jack. On the other hand, the professor and Kevin had an argument. The reason is that the professor wants Matt to use his talent in scientific research as soon as possible to contribute to society. While Kevin insisted that Matt's mind was still immature, needs further tutoring. Most importantly, he himself is not willing to make changes in his current life. While the two were arguing, Matt's side of the story is also being tested. His girlfriend is going to graduate school in Stanford, California. She invites Matt to live in California with her. Matt, who has never left Boston before, is afraid of his new surroundings. And he is afraid to reveal his inferiority complex. The two of them had a big fight. They ended up breaking up. A few days later, the girl left the city. From then on, Matt became irritable and sensitive. He said the professor was wasting his time instead of solving these boring math problems at school. He said that instead of solving these boring math problems at school, he should be spending his time at the bar. He didn't know that the professor was watching him. He didn't know how sorry the professor was to see him waste a talent that many people could only dream of. How sorry he felt. He thought Kevin would understand what he wanted to do with his life. What's wrong with being a normal guy and raising a family? But Kevin could see right away this is not what he had in mind. Why did he go to Massachusetts when there were so many places hiring janitors? And why did he go to the board to solve the world? Only two people had the answer. Matt couldn't answer it. Confused, he attacked Kevin's wife once again. And so it goes. In one day, he offended two people who were like poets and fathers in his life. After leaving the professor and returning to the site, he poured out all his frustrations on the bricks. Seeing him give up on himself like that, Jack couldn't stand it anymore. Jack, who had always been so cynical, finally said something serious for once. You've got $1 million check in your hand that many people would love to have, but you're afraid to cash it. Now come with me to the construction site to talk about the future. In the future, if you still come to my house like this, do you believe I will beat you to the point of no return? The so-called real friends. Not to share happiness with you when you are happy in life, but when you go the wrong way, even with a kick, we must kick you back to the right path. The last time Matt came to Kevin, because the professor revoked his bail, he was facing jail again. Kevin saw the information in his hand. It turns out Matt lost his parents when he was a kid in a foster home. He was abused for a long time. His violent temper was just a cover for his inner vulnerability. It's not your fault. I know. No, you don't. It's not your fault. Don't fuck, it's not your fault. Don't fuck with me, alright? Don't fuck with me. At this moment, the psychological defenses of the young man in question all collapsed. He forgave the past. He accepted himself. It was Matt's birthday. I thought my friends had forgotten. But they didn't just forget. They even gave him a birthday gift. This beat-up car. They had saved it up. Over time, there is a genius among brothers. They all wanted him to grow up happily. The next day, Jack came to pick him up early in the morning. Knocked on the door for a long time, but no one was there. Matt did exactly what he said he would do. He just left. He left without saying hello to his friend of more than 10 years. But Jack smiled. Before leaving the city, Matt sent a special letter to Kevin. The content is very simple. I'm going to get the girl I love back. Bitch stole my life. Under Matt's influence, Kevin packed his bags. He also wants to start a second journey for his life. The end of the film, Matt drove to California in a broken-down car given to him by a friend. First time they met, the atmosphere began to be tense. Matt watched the room to gather information, trying to break Kevin's defenses with his usual style. When he saw a painting, Matt could see that Kevin, a profound lack of belonging, married the wrong one. What happened? He managed to find Kevin's pain point. But Kevin wasn't like other therapists. He gets angry. When he's angry, he'll really take a shot. Matt realized this guy was no soft touch. Finally, a shrink who could handle him. The next day, Kevin met Matt in the park. He said to Matt, "I forgive you for offending my wife. Because you're just a kid. You don't know the consequences of your words and actions. You've never left Boston. So I ask you about art. You can only give me the rudiments of a book. You may have been in love, but you've certainly never experienced the happiness of waking up next to your wife. And when it comes to war, you don't know what it's like when a comrade is lying next to you, dying and calling for help. How helpless you were. You see my words and you think you know me. And I saw you like a cowering hedgehog. You were afraid of people getting close to you and understanding you. You don't dare to speak your heart to others because you have low self-esteem and are strong. Aren't you tired of living like this?" After saying this, Kevin got up and laughed. These words touched Matt a lot. But breaking through the psychological barriers of a young man, it's not that simple. Matt was uncharacteristically quiet for the third session. Kevin didn't say a word as he watched him. He knew that as long as Matt didn't speak up, he could not help the man in front of him. And so it was. The two men ended the session in silence. That night, Matt went out with the girl he met at the bar that night. The girl had lost her parents to an inheritance at a young age. Continuous learning was the only thing she could do. Two people with the same experience, but from different families. The girl told Matt about herself without reservation. Matt, on the other hand, doesn't say a word about himself. That night, two souls who like each other confirmed their relationship. Matt took the initiative to approach Kevin. This time, he took the initiative to talk about his love experience. He said he had met a girl. Smart and funny, almost close to perfect. But he didn't want to get to know her better. Because as we get to know each other and our flaws are exposed, the perfect person will become less perfect. He is afraid that the other person is not perfect, more afraid of his own flaws exposed. Here's what Kevin said: "There is no such thing as a perfect person. Even my wife would fart in her sleep and woke up smelling like one." With that said, the two of them laughed in silence. Each other's flaws. Sometimes they are also each other's highlights. Flaws make the difference. The question is whether the two can achieve an intimate fit. Kevin's words inspired Matt. So he couldn't wait to get a second date with the girl. And after taking the initiative for once, he was unsuccessful. "I can't." "Oh no, I didn't mean I can't fight ever. Just can't right now. After all, a girl is not a genius. She needs time for knowledge." But Matt couldn't wait for tomorrow. He used a napkin from the cafe. And in less than 10 minutes he finished the homework that no one else could finish in a day. So the two went to the dog track. As they laughed and talked, their feelings for each other grew. The girl was curious about what it was like that day. Matt himself did not know. Probably like Mozart and Beethoven seeing a piano. They could play beautiful music. And he doesn't play the piano and he can't play. But when he sees a math problem, he always felt comfortable with it. The girl was curious about his past, so he took her to meet his friends. He didn't say anything about his family. In order to maintain a perfect image in the other person's mind, he couldn't say anything about he moved from one foster home to another.